probably most countries in the world, if not all the countries in the world, probably invest too little in their people, because it's something that cannot necessarily be force-fed, but you need to have at least the setup and the network around you to allow you to invest in yourself. And it's not always easy. So people who come from socially poor families or countries, they don't even have time to think about investing in themselves. They're too much focused on investing in feeding their children or feeding their families. So I think to some extent governments have to take more of a responsibility towards the setup of what allows people to invest more in themselves. Because if you look at putting a little bit in somebody to allow him to do a lot to employ more people, then that's half the battle. So I do think that we need to invest more in our own people, but in particular we also need to invest more in the youth, number one, and in women. We do far too little for women in our part of the world. And if you look, the population is predominantly comprised of women and youth. And setting up the right setup, the right networks, the right just environment to allow these women to succeed, to allow them to have the ability to work, to allow the children to have the ability to educate themselves so that they can actually eventually enter into the workforce. I think there's a lot more that we can do as government, but also as professionals, as people who can help the people who just don't have. The leaders of our business world, the business community, can do a lot more to help in progressing that cause. But yes, I think we should invest a lot more. We haven't invested enough in our people or our economies for that matter. Perfect example is my own country, Netherlands. It takes a lot more to get to where it needs to get to. Sometimes basic education lacks giving you the proper tools that you need to succeed in the outside world. So in universities we're very much taught, or in schools we're very much taught how things are, the theory behind it, but we're not necessarily taught the practical implementation. And I think that the practical implementation in today's world is sometimes just as important as the actual education itself. And having someone, an organization, a person, someone you might trust, it doesn't necessarily need to be a formal coaching. It could be a mentor, someone that you look up to, someone that you could think highly of, that help simply guide you on bridging that gap between education and practical implementation. So yes, I do think it's something that's very important. I think it should be offered up, whether formally or informally, to most people that seek to enter the work environment, particularly as entrepreneurs. It's a very important initiative in my mind. Having a strong foundation is critical towards achieving the success you want to achieve. And in my personal experience, always being able to step back and seek the thoughts, the advice, just the background or the inputs, I would say, seeking the inputs from the people that I can trust and I have been around before is very important. It helps me think through how do you get to that conclusion. And I've been blessed enough to have people around me who I can call mentors, whether it was in my university life or my early career life or in my later career life. I've always had people around me that have been inspirational to me, that have been mentors to me. Not necessarily just women, men, professors, senior people in finance or in industry that I've looked up to and have been able to use the benefit of their insights. And where I didn't have it formally, I had it informally. And when I had it formally, it was also just as helpful. So I've had a balance, which I think has been quite helpful to me.